Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the KSL.com Game Center podcast. It is Saturday, January 6th, a special weekend edition coming at you today for game day up in Logan for the Aggies men's basketball team, taking on number 13 Colorado State at the Spectrum tonight. So we brought on our friend Andrew Hyde to talk a little bit about Utah State basketball. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Caleb?
Doing all right. Made it through the holidays, but I'm not sure I'll make it through this snow that we've been hit with. So we will see how the next couple weeks go.
It's just
Our
it's welcoming everybody to the Spectrum tonight. The snow came, and they heard it was a big game and couldn't miss it.
exactly, I'm not sure it would be a January basketball game in Logan without this kind of weather. So
Exactly.
here we go. Utah State men's basketball 13-1. We last spoke on the day of their first game. So they have won 13 games since then and only lost one. And I feel like this is not being talked about enough. Both all the major basketball teams in the state of Utah are doing pretty well right now. BYU's ranked. Utah could possibly be ranked soon, but Utah State is right there with the same record as BYU. How has this team gotten to this point, and are they just being severely overlooked?
I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you had asked me or Danny Sprinkle, I mean, the head coach for that matter, if you had asked anybody at the beginning of this season if this was even possible, if 13-1 was likely, or in something that they could even dream of, I think everyone would have said no. And so I think it's been a shock to everybody. It's been incredible to see what's happened, and that's the crazy thing too, is that they're not only 13-1, but they're on a 12-game winning streak. They haven't lost in almost 2 months. They lost their, I think it was their second or third game at Bradley, and Bradley's not a bad team, and it was a road game. It was their first road game, I think, and so I mean, as far as being overlooked, I think that's kind of the mentality, though, is that they like it. It was interesting. We asked Danny Sprinkle just a few weeks ago, after they had gone on this really nice winning streak. They were probably a 9 or 10 game win streak, and we asked him what his thoughts were about being ranked the ninth in the Mountain West, and if that's being used to fuel him. And he said something like, we are still ranked ninth. It doesn't matter what the record says, but we are still ninth in the Mountain West until we go out and prove that we're not. And so they're almost using that as fuel. And I mean, it's just been incredible to watch the team move together and mold together. There's not really a star player. Everyone contributes on nights where the best players aren't contributing. Other players step up. It's been really incredible to watch them go on this win streak.
Yeah, so let's talk about the players there for a little bit because I think there were a lot of kind of unknowns with this team. Tons and tons of new players, new coach, and you mentioned Danny Sprinkle. He brought with him two of the players that you could argue have been the most impactful for this team so far from his previous team in Gray Osabor and Darius Brown. Great dropped, 30 plus points in their win over Air Force just to start Mountain West play. I know you said that there hasn't really been a star and it's been a lot of team play, but would you say that Great has kind of been their go-to guy so far?
Oh, for sure. And that's he has been the guy that when he's on, it's just so hard to defend the team because I mean, and even when he's not on, they're double teaming him. It's really hard for them to play defense on this team because he's so big. And not only has he got a lot of talent, but he has a body that, I mean, the NBA could be looking at. That's not something that you could teach. No, he's 6'8", 250, something like that. He's a big dude, and he uses his weight really well. Pushes other people around. He's really effective. And if you look at one of the most fascinating stats on almost every game, is look at points in the paint. If you look at points in the paint for almost any game, Utah State is scoring most. I mean, sometimes 75% of their points from in the paint. All of them. I mean, the guards are driving, but especially with Great Osabor down there, he's getting tons and tons of baskets right underneath the rim, and he's been super impactful. And then, like you mentioned, that other guy that Danny Sprinkle brought with him was Darius Brown. And Darius Brown, he's also, I think, being greatly overlooked because he's not scoring a whole lot. But he's really a true guard. He's running that offense, and I mean, he for a while, I don't know if he still is, but he was leading the nation in assists to turnover ratio. He was racking up, I mean, sometimes 10 assists per game, and incredible. I think, especially in college basketball, you don't see that very often. And he's a true special breed of player. He's able to knock down some shots when they need him to. In fact, they're trying to get him to shoot more, but he just loves distributing the ball and being that point guard um, that any team would want to have. And so I think both of those guys have been huge impacts as far as talent, skill, experience, and also just leadership, because both of them have had quite a bit of experience under Danny Sprinkle already and at Montana State. And so they've been huge impactors so far.
Yeah, talking about Brown a little bit more, I think I was looking at this is his like sixth or seventh year in college basketball, so plenty of experience. And I think you're right about the assist to turnover. He has to be leading the nation because looking at his stats, he's averaging 7.6 assists per game and only 1.2 turnovers in 34 minutes of playing time. So I mean, those are insane numbers.
I mean, he's like a magician. It's so fascinating to watch the way that he just threads the ball into these places, and it was interesting to hear Danny Sprinkle talk about it too, because he's talked about how not only is he putting the ball in the right places to the right players, but he's positioning the ball to where the players have to go and grab it, and then they grab it and kind of look up and realize they're right under the rim with nobody on him. Like he's just got this incredible vision for when he's passing the ball. So definitely that's something to look at if you're watching Utah State, a kind of a story that's going under the radar a little bit. Just watching Darius Brown, it is fascinating to watch the way he leads the team and distributes the ball.
You know, that's actually one thing that I like to do sometimes when I watch basketball is it's so easy to just get you just ball watch, you just watch where the ball is the whole time. But there's some really good players. I'm a Spurs fan, so like there'll be sometimes where I'll like just watch Victor Wembanyama, right? And like I'll wherever he is on the floor, you can do it with Steph Curry, right? With all of Steph Curry's off ball movement, you just watch one player, and it adds so much more to the game. So I'm curious now. I'm gonna watch when I watch the game tonight. I'm just gonna watch Darius Brown. Like even when he doesn't have the ball, just watch everything that he does because I think it's like a really fascinating way to watch basketball.
I mean, especially when he doesn't have the ball, like you were saying, the off-ball movement. When they're on offense, he does have the ball a lot of the time, but especially on defense, that's another thing that hasn't been talked about a whole lot. But he last year was the Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. A really big defensive player, and that fits great under Danny Sprinkle's system. He stresses defense so much, and so it's really interesting if you ever watch if there's ever a really good player like on the other team, especially if they're not a big guy, they're a smaller guard or something. Then Darius Brown, he'll go tell Danny Sprinkle, he say, let me play this guy one on one, and he will just track that guy. He'll follow him on defense, just man on man, will not let him go, and it's amazing to see what he's able to do on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Yeah, so getting to tonight's game, possibly the biggest game of the season so far, maybe even the biggest game of the season period, against number 13 Colorado State in Logan. Aggies currently favored by just a point and a half. Colorado State is currently the only ranked opponent on the Aggie schedule as they get into Mountain West play. And ironically enough, this game is not even on TV. Like the Aggies' next national TV game is until next Saturday against UNLV on CBS Sports Network. So it's just kind of crazy, like how I mean, both these teams are 13-1. This could potentially be the best game of the night in college basketball. And it's happening up at the Spectrum tonight. So it kind of a really cool under the radar event tonight happening in Utah.
Absolutely, and it's huge. I think it is. I think it is on local television. I can't remember. I can't remember which channel it's on, but I think it is on on local satellite channels. But as far as national TV, you're right. It's not even being televised like most of their games. Might be on Mountain West Network, but not the channel. You have to go
Right,
and
right.
specifically seek it out and stream it. Um, and so yeah, I mean, I don't think it is being talked about enough. Both teams are really good, and I think it's huge not only for the Aggies' resume, but also just for their tournament chances. You know, right now they've been slowly moving up, as you can imagine. I mean, as they keep winning games, they've moved up on Joe Lenardi's ESPN bracketology. They've moved up from the first four out to the first four or to the four buys and or the last four buys, and now I think they're ranked as a 10 seed right now in his bracket. And if you had told me before the season that they would be they'd be in the bracket projections at this point in the season, I would have been shocked. I think it's been incredible to see what they've been able to do. But they have a real significant chance at winning an at-large bid in the tournament. But that's the biggest thing is this is a quad one. This is going to be classified as a quad one game. It's going to be huge for their resume. Right now, they're 1-0 in quad one games. I think the other one was San Francisco, and they won that one just by 2 points. So if they could come up with a win here, that would be massive, especially since they play them again later in the season at Colorado State. And that's going to be a much more difficult game. With the Spectrum on their side, Utah State really needs to win this one if they want to make it into the tournament. I think this is a huge, huge game.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the kind of game, the kind of win that can get them some national attention too. With Colorado State being ranked, this could potentially, put Utah State into the AP top 25, which I know doesn't always have the biggest bearing on the NCAA tournament, but like you said, could be a huge resume builder as well. I was checking team rankings. They currently have Utah State with an 83% chance of making the tournament. This could give them a huge boost there. As far as getting to a lock in the tournament, which is 97 98% chance of getting in, I think that website had them needing 25 wins, which is only 12 more wins. They've got 17 more games, so they could potentially even lose five games the rest of the season and still be a near lock for the NCAA tournament. So that just tells you, how big of a head start this non-conference play has given them to have only lost one game so far. I mean, there's almost no way that you can imagine they lose five games. I mean, I know the Mountain West is good. It's kind of a it's not necessarily like a gauntlet, but it's every you're traveling. You've got kind of these gritty teams that you're going up against, and everyone's kind of got that shot every night. But yeah, if you want to start things off with a bang and kind of get that national attention, tonight's basically where you get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the nice thing too is like you were saying, the non-conference play did give them a really nice boost. They eased into it. They played some teams that weren't necessarily as good as some other teams, but I think they played three West Coast Conference teams, and the West Coast Conference is certainly not a conference to sneeze at. They've got some good teams there, and Utah State was 3-0 against those teams. So they've already proven they can compete against these teams on the road. The Mountain West is a really good conference. Um, there's I read a stat a little while ago. It said something like the top four teams like a week ago in the Mountain West had a combined record of 56-4 or something.
Wow,
Just I
wow.
mean, incredible. I don't think the Mountain West as a whole is being talked about enough right now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as they start to play each other. But there could potentially be 4, 5, 6 teams from the Mountain West in the tournament this year if things continue this way. New Mexico's really good. Colorado State's really good. San Diego State, who was in the national championship last year, is really good again. Utah State's right there. There's some really good teams in the Mountain West. So it's going to be really interesting to see the way they play against each other. And if Utah State can win, just even like you said, just a few of those games, I think they've got a really, really good chance to be in the tournament and have a respectable seed as well. So that'll be really interesting to watch how that plays out throughout the season.
Yeah, and as we mentioned last time you were on, I really want to try and get up there to the Spectrum at some point this season. Obviously, this snow has made it a little less tempting to make that trip up tonight. Although this could be, the biggest game that happens at the Spectrum this season. So maybe you'll see me up there tonight. I don't know. I'm kind of a last minute planner. So if I hop in my car and get the motivation to go, maybe I'll be able to brave this snow. It's not currently snowing. There's just a lot of snow on the ground. So
Yeah, it'll be icy for sure, but yeah, I mean, definitely worth the trip. The Spectrum as well is sold out for tonight, and so I mean, you can still certainly get tickets on the secondary sites, the secondary retailers. But the Spectrum tickets in and of themselves have already been sold out, which is the first time this season that's happened. And so it's already been pretty energetic. But tonight, I think, is going to be a great atmosphere. Even if the Aggies don't pull this one out, I think they'll stick in there. I think they'll hang in there, and I think the atmosphere will be incredible. So definitely a good one.
awesome. Well, we look forward to that and hopefully many more great Utah State games to come this season. Appreciate you coming on today, Andrew, and we'll catch you guys next time.